Ahead on the Bleav in Steelers show, we'll tell you the best landing spots for wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. We answer a listener question during our What Yinz Think segment. Good morning, I'm Mark Bergin, joined as always by my guy, two-time Super Bowl champion and Pittsburgh Steelers scout, number 24, Ike Taylor. IT, it is good to see you this morning. I hope you are well. It's been too many moons since I've seen your face.
Oh man, good to see you too. Mark just got off the sand pit with Ivan and a few of his teammates working out this morning. But we got a short and sweet podcast we talking about today, so I can't wait to get into it.
Ike, I'm glad to see that you lived to tell the tale because I know the sand pit is no joke.
Hey Mark, bro, I'm talking about, it works muscles that one you forgot you had, two that you didn't even know you had. One or the other. For real.
It's the great equalizer, but Ike, we're going to start out with the news that the Steelers have signed outside linebacker Markus Golden. And I'm fired up this morning, Ike, because this guy went to my alma mater. He's a Mizzou guy. And Markus Golden, back in the 2014 season, when your guy was an undergrad at the University of Missouri, he was one of my favorite players to watch on the Missouri Tigers team. I'll tell you more about him during his college days, but has experience with the Cardinals, experience with the Giants. And this was one thing, it was a criticism I had, but the wrath of Khan continues. Omar Khan and the Steelers getting edge rushing depth behind TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. Yet another hole addressed this offseason, Ike. And I think this is a very solid addition for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
6'3", 260 coming from Mizzou. Just got him from Arizona. Markus Golden. Mark. Let's be for real. You, since the time we've been on this show, I've never seen Pittsburgh been this aggressive in the offseason, ever. And that says a lot about the wrath of, like you say, Omar Khan, a.k.a. the Khan artist. He's trying to do this thing right now. And just seeing how Omar is moving, Mark, it's like he's trying to get that locker room to where it used to be when I played. Aggressive, violent on defense, depth on defense, competitive, and we was winning Super Bowls at the time. And I know Omar has two, but Omar doesn't have two as a GM. But God damn it, Mark, he showed trying to get it, and he's stating his case just off of the moves he's making, Mark. So Omar, in my mind, and it's just my personal opinion, on a mission. He on a mission. And for Pittsburgh, getting to the playoffs ain't good enough. He on a mission to get to a Super Bowl and to win it. So we shall see towards the end of the season. I've always said I had a good feeling from the beginning of the offseason leading to the draft and after the draft. But, the draft just still continues, Mark. It's just like once do something, you'd be like, he going to chill. Then he wind up doing something else. You'd be like, all right, he didn't did enough. Then he wind up doing something else. You'd be like, oh, yeah, he on a mission for real. So time will tell, and we'll see the final result, Mark. But at the same time, man, on a mission. And him signing Markus Golden, that's just letting you know, man, like he just remembers back in the day how competitive, whether you was 3 or 4 on the depth chart, it still was competitive, and the next man always been up.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up his stats right now for our viewers to see this so you can see his statistical production. Time in Arizona, time in New York. He's actually had 2 stints in Arizona, but it was the edge rushing depth that was a true concern of mine, Ike, because I like what I've seen from TJ Watt. He, tied Michael Strahan's single season sack record. Then Alex Highsmith, I thought, played almost at a Pro Bowl level a season ago, and he's entering a contract season. So you like both of those players off the edge for Pittsburgh, but it was the depth that was a concern of mine. Now, having said all of this too, I think they'll likely get Golden on a good contract because there's a lot of good edge rushers still available in free agency. I'm talking about Yannick Ngakoue, Jadeveon Clowney, Leonard Floyd, Melvin Ingram, Frank Clark. There's a lot of players out there. If Omar Khan says, okay, Markus Golden's going to be the guy, he's going to be the one to help fill this void to make sure that we have the proper depth to keep TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith fresh and not miss a beat when that other player's on the field. I have all the confidence in the world that Markus Golden is going to be able to fulfill this role for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, we'll see what Mark going to do. Mark is a savvy veteran. He's been in the league for a long time. He knows what it is to be a professional. He's been productive, consistently productive over the course of his career, Mark. So O know what they're doing, but O looking for a certain style of guy. He looking for a guy who can come in, fit that locker room, and be a Pittsburgh Steeler. If his number is called up, he's gonna come in and contribute. And if you just look at statistically what Marcus have done over the course of his career, Markus Golden I'm talking about, he just been Mr. Consistent. And like you said, you can't get enough of two things when it comes down to the defense. You can't get enough guys in the secondary who can cover, and you can't get enough guys who can come off the edge and get to the quarterback. Because that's the way the NFL is going. So you got to look at it like your third best rusher got to be like a nickel in the secondary. Got to be a guy who's able to somewhat come in as a starter if somebody goes down and be productive. So I just made that up. I hope it sounded right.
No, it did. It did. We will take a quick break and we'll finish up about Markus Golden in just a second. But today's Bleav in Steelers show is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. We're into the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals. If you want to place a bet on any of the sports action, BetOnline.ag is the place to do it.
Yeah, make sure y'all go to BetOnline.ag. Regardless on what sport it is right now, it's the playoff time, finals time between, like Mark said, the NHL and the NBA Finals. So make sure y'all go to BetOnline.ag. They open 24/7, 7 days a week.
And you can see the promo code on your screen right now. That's BLEAV, Bleav. You receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. Ike, really quickly, when I was a senior at the University of Missouri in 2014, the year before, Missouri had gone to the SEC championship game down in Atlanta. They start the 2014 season 3-0. It's family weekend. Missouri's hosting Indiana, and Markus Golden didn't play. He had a hamstring injury. Long story short, family weekend was ruined because the Indiana Hoosiers came into Columbia, Missouri and upset my alma mater. And it was because Golden didn't play. He didn't miss a game for the rest of the season. Missouri only lost 2 games, got back to the SEC title game that year too. So early on in the season, it was like, wow, my hopes and dreams for what was a magnificent season the year before, we're not going to get back to Atlanta to compete for a conference championship. But he was a big part of that. He teamed with Shane Ray out of Mizzou all those years ago. So I'm going to be very, very biased. I love my Mizzou guys, Ike, but I think this is going to be a perfect role for him. I just hope he doesn't get upset because TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith are awfully good. They're a great duo. But when you need to keep them fresh, when you need to keep them off the field for a play, a series, a third down, I think Golden's going to be able to come in there and you're not going to miss a beat. So I just hope there's enough snaps to go around. But at the age of 32 at this point in his career, when the Steelers are going to be able to count on him, as long as he doesn't get disgruntled with his role, Ike, I really like this signing. And again, I'm going to stump for my Mizzou games all day long.
There's really no need for Marcus to get upset. To be honest, I think Pittsburgh, what Pittsburgh is getting back to is just telling guys when they get them, this is going to be your role. If you and I feel like, we got the best duo when it comes down to edge rushing. So you just coming in and contribute and hopefully helping us hoist a Lombardi or two. So it's one thing I know about Coach T. He's gonna tell you what it is, what he wants you to do from the dope. Now you can come in and be like, you know what, I'm gonna try to start, but you ain't starting over, Smitty and TJ Watt. That's just not gonna happen. I know. So that's just, you're gonna come down, you're gonna come in, you're gonna be, hopefully you can work your way up, or gonna be the third outside linebacker coming in and making plays and getting rushes. And just look at how Smitty just came along when TJ Watt got hurt. Like TJ is contagious, and what I mean by TJ is contagious is his work ethic off the field and see what he does on the field. When TJ plays, it's a high percentage that the Pittsburgh Steelers wins. When TJ is not on the field, it's a high percentage that Pittsburgh's not going to win. So TJ is the key factor, whether it's on the offense or defensive side for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, until somebody else, step into play, and it changes the realm on how you look at Pittsburgh. So, being disgruntled, he just got to be patient. And he's been patient all his life. But coming in and thinking you're going to be Smitty and TJ, man, that's hard. That's the two best duels in my mind. That's the two best duels. Just understand, you're going to play. And that's what, Marcus, I guess that's what they told him. And I'm just guessing. You're going to play. Yeah. We just don't know how many snaps you're going to play in each game. Some games you might get more than others. As you know, TJ doesn't play every down in every game. Smith, you're gonna wind up coming in and giving Smitty a break. So regardless of how you look at it, let's just say you play 15 snaps a game. You got 15 opportunities to get to the quarterback, especially if it's situational football. So he gonna get plenty of snaps to make his plays. So I wouldn't say disgruntled. I wouldn't want him to come in or trying to be disgruntled. He's gonna get between the two guys. He gonna give them guys rest and give them breaks, and he's gonna have opportunity to get to the quarterback as well, Mark.
Yeah, I can don't forget the Steelers brought in Bud Dupree this offseason for a visit, considering bringing back the former Steelers player. He ended up going to Atlanta, but then again, the depth. You had Nick Herbig in the draft. You also have Quincy Roach. Last season, the Steelers traded for Malik Reed. He's no longer on the team. So again, it was that depth that I was looking for. And again, going back to the Wrath of Khan, what has been a very impressive offseason for the Steelers. Ike, we will move on. Kenny Pickett had his SUV briefly stolen during a radio interview. His playbook was inside too. What I wanted to ask you was like, has anything like this happened to you from when you were a player? Both the playbook and the SUV were returned, and I know that charges were filed against whoever ended up doing it. But do you have experience of anything of this nature? Because it's just like I read this headline, it was like the SUV was only gone for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I haven't had of that magnitude, no. But they found it. They got it back. They found exactly who it was. So that's what Pittsburgh too. When Kenny Pickett calls 911, or when he calls the Pittsburgh Steelers, say my SUV got stolen, I had a playbook in it. Okay, what kind of SUV you got? I got this kind of SUV. Up 30 minutes later, we got it right back. That's just what it's going to be. It's like an all-out manhunt, man search for the city of Pittsburgh. And you don't take the city of Pittsburgh. You don't take nobody car anyway. Period. That's just when it comes down to stealing and carjacking, I think that's reckless. It's consequences for that because people work hard to get to where they at, and they made decisions you didn't make when you were younger, or they just made better decisions, and it was consistent over a long period of time. But when you take KP's, the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, not only SUV, but you take his playbook, there's going to be some consequences, and they're going to get that thing back as fast as possible. And that's exactly what they did. That's like taking the president watch. That's not going to work in the city of Pittsburgh. They're going to shut everything down in the city of Pittsburgh. People call off of work in Pittsburgh just to get that man SUV and that playbook back. People get how people feel about the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, especially the franchise quarterback. Man, it's more than just the police.
No.
It's the whole city looking for you. So they got it back ASAP too as well.
Like taking this out of this specific instance, how secretive are teams with playbooks?
Man, that's the Bible. I mean, I don't want to put in comparison with the Bible, but that's how valuable the playbook is to a team. That's the formula. That's the ingredient. When you take somebody's playbook, you're taking the Bible away from them. You're taking a lot. You're taking a lot of money. Just think about it like that. When you take somebody's playbook, you're taking a lot of money away from them. And the reason why I say you're taking a lot of money away from them is, that's all we can do. So our playbook is the Bible, in a sense, when it comes down in the football world. That's something you want to critique. That's something you want to be perfect at. You want to strive for perfection when it comes down to that playbook. You're putting your body through all the physical torture that you need to go through the season, but none of that matters if you don't know that playbook. If you can't pick up that playbook, if you can't get that playbook down packed, especially at the quarterback position, that's the hardest position other than quarterback, secondary guys. But that quarterback, that's the hardest position, I think, in my mind, on the field. So you take that playbook away from him, man, you're just taking a lot away from him. You're taking away the whole organization. So I'd rather, even though they got both back, I'd rather them steal the car. We can easily get a car. But it's hard. But it's torture to have that playbook out floating around. So now there's no competitive edge. It's just like you having a black book, Mark, or you having a diary. That's for you. That's only for you. Somebody get a hold of your diary or your black book, man, that's like secrets nobody never knew, or stuff you don't want nobody to know. So That's how I look at it with that playbook. Take the car, get the car back. That playbook, man, it's hard. It took years to create that playbook. It's a reason why you can't pay to get a playbook from the NFL player.
Hmm.
That's just a golden rule. You can get another car. Kenny got the money for it, but for that whole organization, you can't pay to get a book like that back.
I know during HBO's Hard Knocks, that's always part of it, where it's like when they're making the player cuts, they'll be like, coach wants to see you, the GM wants to see you, and bring your playbook as well.
Yeah.
And you just know how special that is. That's an amazing line, that you'd rather get the playbook back than the car itself. I don't know of any other professions, unless you had like a computer with like, I don't know, like proprietary technology or something like that in it, to where that would be the case, where it's like, hey, we'd rather have this documentation than the car itself. Pretty incredible stuff, Ike.
Yeah, I'm glad they got it back, Mark.
Yeah, amen. Let's go to what Yinz think. This is where our listeners and viewers can ask us questions, Ike. And see if I can bring this on the screen here. Chess Pete's writes, Uncle Ike, which addition was majority a result of your hard work to get him here? And Ike, I think he's asking about your scouting responsibilities this offseason.
Oh man, I always wanted to be a scout, chess piece. So Omar stuck to his word. Omar liked what I was doing. While I was playing, I was active in the scouting department. Not as official, but unofficial. I always wanted to go in, see how they thought, see how the transition was going to be. I always thought I had a good eye when it came down to guys from college getting drafted to the NFL. I always thought that. It's just gave me opportunity to hone into my skills and teach me how the Pittsburgh Steelers like to do it. So, for me, this is not a job. Scouting is not a job. I love doing this. So I've won 2, been to 3 as a player. I would love to win 1 just working in the front office. So just keeping me busy. Not only that, just adding on something to my resume, always challenging myself, always getting comfortable in uncomfortable situations. I pride myself on doing that. But this is something I always wanted to do, chess piece. So I'm just glad and fortunate that Omar, wound up hiring me in Arunas and Coach T, just liking my style and the way I present, and me coming into that front office room and just put my 2 cents in.
Yeah, and I think it's a collaborative effort, Ike, because I look at, okay, at least from the draft standpoint, the 2 corners the Steelers bring in, and Joey Porter Jr., Corey Trice Jr. as well. I think it's a collaborative effort, and the way you answer that question, I think, speaks volumes about you, Ike. But listen, I'll carry the boom box down the Ike Taylor parade. I know that you were a big part of those contributions in bringing those players to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know you played a role in that.
Yeah, when it came down to a position, that was my position, the secondary guys. That was my number 1 position. Now, Lil Colbert, Dan Colbert, he's on top of me, meaning I got to go to him when it comes down to things he wants me to do. So he gave me a little bit more. So I just respected that. The more he gave me, the better I felt that they felt I was getting comfortable, and they was trusting my reads, my summary. So that's how I felt towards that. So yeah, this ain't work for me. When it comes down to scouting, Mark, this ain't work for me. You and I, before they officially made me a scout and working in the front office, we was doing our own little drafts, and we was hitting. So everybody just pay attention. If y'all want to go back 3 years ago on Mark and I, when it came down to every position, the top 5 positions, and we having our own mock drafts, we didn't miss out on too many. So, but yeah, this ain't work for me. This something, just like you and I on this podcast.
Yeah. We would be doing this even if we weren't getting paid, Ike.
Yeah, this ain't. Even though we're gonna get this payday, but this ain't work for us. Just like scouting, it's not work.
Well, when we first started this show, Ike, when it was audio only, it'd be like, if I could afford a box of pizza after a month's work, that was good. And it's like we're continuing to build and build and build. You always tell me Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, that trust the process. Trust the process. That's all. So we got things going. We've been doing it for a while, so that says a good thing. What's going on year 4?
Yeah. Yeah.
That
I
fast.
just want to thank Chess Piece for his question as well. It was,
Appreciate you,
I
Chess
go
Piece.
through all the comments, and if you have questions for both Ike and I, we'll use the best ones. We love bringing in listener comments during our What Yinz Thanks segment. So thank you to Chess Piece for his question. And if you have other questions for us throughout the offseason, trust me, we're going to need topics. Feel free to send those our way on YouTube. Ike, our final segment of the show, DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the league, is a free agent. So my question for you, as former NFL DB, someone who played 12 years in the NFL, where do you think the best landing spot for the star receiver would be?
I was thinking Dallas. But the reason why I'm thinking Dallas, like I think Dallas would be a good fit for him. I mean, I know he can go to KC, he can go to Buffalo, he can go to really any contender that he want to. And for right now, DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think it's about the money. I think the man really want to win a ring. So I think he want to be a big piece to that. One of the big pieces is Dallas. You know, he can go to Philly. Really, he can go any way he want to. But I just think DeAndre Hopkins, his competitive attitude, he won't go like to where he see, okay, this team is on the verge, and the verge might be outside looking in. Instead of, I know Philly gonna be in, I know Philly gonna be in the talks. I know Buffalo gonna be in the talks. I know KC gonna always be in the talks on hoisting the Lombardi's. But man, what's a squad I like? What's a young good squad? And the young good squad right now is the Dallas Cowboys. If you look at it, you see what they're doing on defense. Their defense is locking in. They're getting some pieces together. They draft well. You can say what you want to say about Jerry Jones, but one thing Jerry Jones do well is he draft. He's a hell of a GM when it comes down to the draft. So you're looking at the missing pieces or some kind of depth. I know you pick up Brandon Cooks. You got CD. You got Gallup. You get that fourth receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. Now you got a hell of a mix, because you did lose your tight end. So of course I lost my tight end. So if I lose a tight end, man, I gain a receiver. And what better way to give a guy like Dak Prescott a receiver like DeAndre Hopkins? He's always open. I mean, even when he got two or three guys on him. So if you want to talk about opening up the playbook for CeeDee Lamb, letting him work the slot when DeAndre come in, hopefully Michael Gallup can stay healthy throughout the game. And we just all know what Brandon Cooks do. Brandon Cooks, low-key, been the most consistent receiver in the league when it comes down to 1,000 yards every year and him getting behind the defense. So it just depends on what the offensive coordinator, Schottenheimer, what he want to do and if he want to. But I would say Dallas, but, DeAndre just got so many options right now. It's good to have options. They say if two teams fighting for you, you got action. And I'm sure it's more than two teams
Oh,
that
yeah.
wouldn't mind having DeAndre Hopkins.
Don't forget, from the defensive standpoint with the Cowboys as well, like Dan Quinn will remain the defensive coordinator there. And this comes during the offseason when he had interest from other teams to become their head coach. He's the former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons and a great defensive mind. So when I see what Micah Parsons is doing, I know that there's not going to be a drop off because there's that continuity and that Quinn will remain the team's defensive coordinator in the 2023 season.
He could have left.
Yep.
Coach Quinn could have left, but he looking at the old Coach Quinn looking at the old Seattle Seahawks. He looking at what he had with the Seattle. And he's it. Micah. I keep saying this. I said this about Joe Burrow. I said Joe Burrow will get paid $60 million a year, and we shall see what he get paid before training camp. Michael Parsons will be the highest paid defensive player ever until somebody else beat whatever he gets. And that's just how I feel. And he deserves every penny that he get. He just them guys like him, they don't come around too often. When you see him, you gotta acknowledge it. When you see greatness, you just gotta acknowledge it. And the young man is great, and he ain't even tap into his potential. That's the crazy part about it. So Quinn ain't going nowhere. When you got a guy like Michael Parsons who understands what it is to be a professional in the offseason, not being lazy, working hard, always saying how he can get better, looking at guys in college still because he's still young, looking at guys on who he think that can help their defense, and y'all wind up drafting somebody he like. Come on, man. Then when you look at the linebacker position, inside linebacker position, you lock in on that and you draft. And then when you look at the secondary, you got your 1-2 punch you're looking for with Diggs and Gilmore. So I mean, Coach Quinn just looking at it like I didn't seen this before. I'm just missing a piece. I don't know what piece I'm missing. I'll figure that out. But that defense ain't gonna be the issue. So now it's just gonna be on the Dallas Cowboys offense. And what I mean by that is what Dallas do have to do on defense, they gotta control the run game. Because it's gonna be hard to pass on them, but they need to control the run game. So we'll see. We'll see.
Ike, given that this is a Steelers show, I think we've talked enough about the Cowboys. Few other landing spots for D
Right.
Hop. You know I'm going to go here, and I say Kansas City. But reason being, you free up Travis Kelce, so you can't bracket him at the tight end position. You pair him with Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Remember, Juju Smith-Schuster is now a member of the New England Patriots, so there's a void there. And we know what Patrick Mahomes can do with the star receiver, with what he did pairing a few years back with Tyreek Hill. So I think the Chiefs would potentially be a fit. The Bills would be interesting too, because Stephon Diggs and DeAndre Hopkins would be an absolutely horrifying tandem. And I think they would be up there with the best receiver duos. I would put them in the same mix as Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle down in Miami. So two other spots, Kansas City and Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean he got options. He definitely got options. Like I said, I don't think it's the money for D Hop right now. D Hop ain't tripping on the money. I think that might be the third thing he's looking for when it comes down to a list. The first thing is a team and an OC and a quarterback. You know, who's the head coach, who's the quarterback. Then we'll talk about the money.
Yeah, I can. One other thing too with Buffalo, right now only $1.5 million in salary cap space. Surely the Bills would need to free up a lot of salary cap space. But you've taught me this. It's more manipulating the cap and playing around with it than it is a true deterrent. You've taught me that in the years that we've done here, the Bleav in Steelers show, in terms of how front offices operate to free up money to be able to make acquisitions go after star players.
That salary cap is for us to talk about. For them owners, for them billionaires, man, they can shift, they can move that thing, they can move that line how they want to. It's just like
Yeah.
having a stop. It's like having a mobile stop sign. If I want a stop sign to stop 100 yards down the line, that's what I'm gonna do when I'm a billionaire. If I want a stop sign to stop when you pull up, that's exactly what it's gonna do. So they got the luxury, they got the options to move that cap how they want to move it.
Ike, I want to say you're the absolute best. I want to thank you, today's presenting sponsor, BetOnline.ag. I want to thank the Bleav Network. Check out all the great shows and content that the network produces. And I want to thank the listeners and the viewers for taking time out of their day to give us their time. I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend.
Yeah, I want to appreciate you, Mark. I want to appreciate Bleav in Steelers podcast. Man, please give a huge shout out to BetOnline.ag for rocking with us since day one. Make sure y'all subscribe to our YouTube. Give us a 5-piece all day, every day on Apple Podcasts. Want to thank everybody for tuning in and just watching Mark and I each and every day, every time we post. Appreciate y'all. Love.
For Ike Taylor, I'm Mark Bergin. Thanks for watching the Bleav in Steelers show. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care. So long, everybody.